I met Coach JV at a business conference. I took a few of his courses, got coaching and mentorship from him directly. It's a great man. This gentleman has three principles that really stuck with me. Three principles that I respect him for because I've watched them get challenged and I've seen him hold the line on those principles. Mind your own business, keep your inner peace and sanity, and family comes first. Simple, very clear, non-negotiable principles for this man. And I've seen what it looks like in practice. So somebody came to Coach JV excited about this crypto opportunity. The market was going insane and he should put all his money into this specific, wait, hold on. So someone came to Coach JV about a cryptocurrency opportunity. The market was going insane and he told him that he should put all his money into this specific crypto right now because it's going to grow like crazy and that you should do it immediately. Coach JV told him, stop, you're disrupting my peace. I make moves out of peace, not out of urgency. To Coach JV, the opposite of peace is urgency. I want to talk about that a little bit. Just peace. Because the opposite of peace can be so many different things. Like when we think about having peace, we think about oftentimes calmness, stillness, contentness, emotionally. But then when we think about the opposite, it depends. It truly depends because peace itself is so encompassing of a lot. But the opposite of that abstract idea of peace can also then mean so many things. But for Coach JV, the opposite of peace was urgency. So to him, that's what that means. So anytime that there's something urgent, he's already defined ahead of time what the opposite of his principles are. And if one of his principles simply and clearly is keep your inner peace, well, what does it mean when you're not keeping your inner peace? To him, it means making moves out of urgency. But he would not have been able to clearly delineate that someone or something was trying to impede upon his principles unless he had already set and had a moment prior to that specifically told him, this is what the opposite of your principles are, which I want to show you that. I want to show you that. So Coach JV's clearly defined what it looks like to not have peace so much that he relates the pressure to make an urgent decision as a showing of lack of peace. That's how well-defined and clear his principles are to him. But that's not the story that actually made me respect him the most. Let me keep going. So he was invited to this extremely exclusive retreat amongst business professionals across the world. Maximum, I think, about 100 attendees. Invitation based only on what you've done in life and in business, your growth and your impact. Only the top of the top actually get invited to this. And it's a boot camp style like event where only those individual business leaders can go to. The time for time for collaboration, time for growth, tons of business leaders from across the world are coming to really pour into you, give you direct knowledge. Again, this is already the top of the top in one specific room. And then the best business leaders in the world are also coming to pour into these top of the top. I mean, this is something that you won't want to miss. But with these business leaders from tons of different industries coming in across the world, it's just going to be those invitees, those attendees, no families, nobody else, just them in this boot camp style environment. And Coach JV has a clear principle. If my family can't go, I'm not going. Period. Family comes first for him. Family comes before credibility. Family comes before everything else. He's clearly defined what it looks like for family not to come first, and he will not allow that. Even though this was one of the most prestigious business academies or retreats that anyone can attend to enhance their life, even though the amount of money he would have made, the connections he would have gained could have been extremely significant, even for his family, he decided not to go because that violated his principle. That's belief and total conviction and principles. It was not obviously an easy decision for him to make, but he swallowed that pill because he knew the decision he made was based on his internal principles. And that's what people are going to remember about him. I want to take a moment to talk about that because it is something that is so profound. And it can be a difficult situation because a lot of times we can think, well, if family comes first, he would have went because of the amount of money that he could have made. The connections would have been massive for his family. But he chose against the opportunity to really get his family into even a better place, better situation. So how do we make that decision? Because on one hand, especially as we're trying to grow ourselves, I mean, at this point, Coach JV had just started a new company that I was really looking to model for within my own organization, my company. And I wanted that. But Coach JV in his first 12 months in that company made over $700,000 in that company, in that business, not just in that year alone. And so for me and for somebody else that's looking at him thinking, well, okay, after a year, you've made $700,000+, but I'm just trying to get my business off the ground. So I can't make that decision not to attend that if I did reach that level and I want that credibility. It'll bring so much more value to me and my family. So then we have this sort of internal dissonance where it's like, well, do I hold my principle of, I'm not going if my family can't come, or do I go for my family? And that's where the difference between principles and values and your goals really come into action. Because values, right? If you just value family, then yes, you'll do what it takes to enhance your family's life, right? You'll do what it takes to enhance the life of your family and others around you. But a principle is a hard stop. It's a hard stop for something specific. And you also need to be able to name it early on, because when the time comes, when the moment or the situation comes for you to actually hold the line for that principle, you need to make sure you understand that one piece. So let me give you an example. When it comes to Coach JV in this instant, where for him, he said, well, my family can't come, I'm not coming. That's what it means for family not to come first for him. But for someone else, family not to come first might look like if there is only if only there's a little bit of food left and you haven't eaten, but your family has, but maybe the extra food will get them just a little bit further. Maybe you've already got a principle said that if there is something left and I haven't eaten yet, but my family needs it, I'm going to give it to them. Then that's what you've defined as the opposite of whatever your principle or your barrier is. And knowing that opposite up front and being able to practice it and knowing it truly at a core, having your principles and the opposites 100% realized ahead of time is what's going to allow you to justify the hard decisions that you're going to make within your life and your business. Because for Coach JV, for him, it was not an easy decision, obviously, but it was a simple decision that he was able to justify with the principles that he already has set. And I hope that really makes sense. So for somebody who's maybe just trying to get started, maybe you've only made $100,000 in your business so far. Let's say you were in the same exact situation. Well, in your brain, you think, well, I'm going because it's going to change my family's life. And that's fine, because for you, then that principle is not a principle that you've identified as something that's true to you. And that's okay. Your principles don't have to be what sounds or looks good on paper or at some sort of corporate briefing. That's not the case. So often do people create principles that make them feel good whenever they tell it to somebody else, but really principles are the rawest form of I don't give a about what you feel. This is what matters to me. It's the rawest form. And I feel like anybody who creates principles that are strictly based on public opinion, those principles will not hold up whenever you're challenged.